Hey, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you might be. Thanks for tuning in. Um, oh, I've had a lot of thoughts going on this last week, or maybe just a little bit over a week now. And I want to explain this in a way that makes sense. I want to speak everything that's going on inside of my head. And like I said, I want that to make sense to whoever was listening to this. You know, I'll just preface this with for years now, my son has tried to talk me into plant therapy. And for those of you who don't know what plant therapy is, hell, I don't even know what plant therapy is. It varies, but it's a mixture of this, it's a mixture of that. It's all sorts of things. It's all sorts of things that we use to help us get past things that have happened to us, whether that could be war trauma, that could be trauma from our past as a child, abuse in many ways. There's a lot of things that play a factor in what we carry as adults through this life in relation to trauma, and that speaks in a way that can become stress, anxiety, depression, thoughts of suicide. There are a lot of other things that it can affect too. It can affect the way we look at ourselves. It can also affect the way we think people look at us. And so I'm just going to come right out and tell you all that something I swore I would never do because I've just never been that guy. Dad, you need to look into shrooms. I think shrooms would really help you. And I'm just like, no, I'm good. I'm not taking any drugs. I'm fine. Well, fast forward a few years, and I just happened to be with some friends this last weekend. We're watching MMA fights. We're watching the UFC fights. And while sitting there, the friends are Marine veterans like myself. My buddy Rudy, his wife Jade was there. And while we're watching these fights, about 45 minutes after I got to their house, one of the guys went in the back room and came out with something that was sent to him by a friend. And this was an eye opener for me. He sat down um, with mushrooms, 100% organic, no chemical. I mean, I truly don't understand how a a a a fungi like this can do what it does. And he sat down and he said, "Hey, man, blah 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 blah. Would you want to?" And I'm just like, I gotta be honest with you, I've never really done drugs, and I haven't. Other than the occasional. I thought I tried weed once, but outside of that, I've just never really been into kind of the drug scene. I'm a pretty straight laced guy. I've never even tried a cigarette, people. So here I sit with these guys in an environment that I felt comfortable in. Marine brothers, Jade, remarkable woman. I think she is a super strong influence in Rudy's life. So here's Rudy, buddy who was a Marine sniper with Marine Recon, and so he himself has dealt with his traumas as well as Cable and myself. And so for me, going back, just to give you a little bit of a backstory, and I may have explained this on a prior episode, but I come from a troubled past, not like hey, I was a criminal doing criminal things type, but sexual abuse. I was sexually abused in Cub Scouts by two Cub Scout leaders, and then my clergy, a Catholic kid. So three male adults sexually abused me, and that's all I remember. There may be more. I don't know. So I've got that aspect of life. I've got a very abusive mother. My mother was raised in the Catholic Church, but when I say raised, she was raised in the convent. So as an infant, she went into the convent because her parents could not afford to keep two of the three daughters back during the 50s, 40s, and 50s. And my mother went, you folks, this is right after the World War. Britain, England was decimated, in relation to economy. Everybody was trying to get their back on their feet. My grandparents could not afford to keep my mom, and so she went to live in a convent. She was raised by nuns and priests. Can you imagine what she went through? And up until last weekend, I never forgave her. I never forgave her for the abuse I went through. My mother was very physically abusive. She was mentally abusive, emotionally abusive. Any way that a parent could traumatize a child, I went through that. I went through that. One day she loved me, the next day she did not. One moment she loved me, the next moment she beat the shit out of me, and then the next moment she was back to loving me. And so I carried, all these things with me as an adult. As a child, I was forced to go to counseling. From the age of 10 to 13, I was in counseling. And it wasn't because of the abuse that I was receiving in the home that was the problem. It was just me. I was the problem. And so I've always been anti-counseling. I've been anti-anything that could have probably helped me. I just, I got to my ripe old age on my own. I never sought out help, never sought out counseling as an adult, just wasn't my thing. So here I am last weekend with buddies watching the UFC fights. Out comes the shrooms. And the one guy looks at me and he's just like, hey, and I'm just like, I never have. My son for years has been saying this could help me, that I could really use plant therapy to process a lot of the things that I've gone through. And I was like, shaking my head. I was like, and then all of a sudden something clicked. And I was just like, screw it. Maybe it can help me. I said, I'm with friends. I trust all you people. Let's do this. I did. You guys, oh my hell. I took, and in fact, I'm still trying to figure this out. It's the mushroom head, the big fat piece of the mushroom. And I took this whole thing. It was, like the size of a steak mushroom that, you buy in the store. So I took this head, I ate this mushroom with friends, continued to watch the fights for a bit. And literally 20 to 30 minutes or maybe less, I don't know, it started to hit me. And all I can say is I understand why they call it plant therapy now. It was euphoric. I mean, I wasn't like, what's the term? I wasn't tripping balls, but I was tripping. And but what it did for me was it allowed me to lose my ego. And that was a conversation I was having with these guys. When I walked in the room, I had not met Rudy's friend yet. And so I come in as Kevin, but I come in as Kevin as I want people to understand who I am. The game face I put on, we all do this. You walk into a boardroom, you walk into any kind of meeting, whatever it might be, everybody puts on their game face. They want you to see this version of them. This was how I define this. I call that the three version of them. And what I mean is, and this is what I was breaking down in conversation, there are three versions of us. There's the three, which is today. This is the person that you want everybody to think you are. This is the image you put on. This is your resume. This is the game face that you put on when you walk in a room. Then there's the two. The two is what happened to me. The two is my mother. The two is my clergy. The two is my scout leaders. The two is the Marine Corps. The two is all these different things that played a role in creating the three. But the one is the most important to me. The one is the kid. The one is the child that you go back to, that is learning, that is loving, that came to this earth as, whatever you believe, came to this earth as a spirit, showed up here. We are learners. We are loving. We are different as a child than we are as an adult. We are more apt to sit with a group of people we don't know and just play and get along as a child. We are learning. The shrooms that I took helped me remove that three, which is my ego, and go back to the one. And I sat for the better part of 7 hours with these adults and talked through a lot of the things that happened to me as a kid, a lot of the things that happened in relation to physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, the traumas of the Marine Corps, the traumas of life as a whole, the traumas of marriage that I went through, the financial ups, the financial downs. And I was able to come to terms with the fact that it's okay to be a one. It truly is in relation to dealing with people. It's okay to go back and let your insecurities go, to drop the ego, and to be a one with somebody. Because here's the beauty of it. If we drop our ego and go back to the one, the person that doesn't judge, that just loves, that just wants to learn, if we can be that person, we can better connect with people. I mean, think about that. And I was talking with these guys and I said, the problem that we have is we walk in as threes and we're seeing everybody else's three, and the three we may not like. I mean, I'm sure in some spaces, my three, my version of who I was, people didn't like. Some do, some don't. That's an old attract and repel the right audience with your message. Well, the problem is we're repelling people. And it really was an eye-opener for me that it's not all about repelling people. It's truly not. It's about connecting with people. And you can't connect with people in a way that you should if it's your ego. If your ego is driving you, if your ego is in control, how are you able to connect with that person's one? Even if the three version of them you don't like is what you're seeing, understand two happened to that person. So think about this. You meet somebody, you're in a room, you're at a party, you're wherever you might be. You meet someone. You're seeing their three. You don't know their two, which means you can't connect with their one. But if you give love, if you remove your ego and the one walks in the room and you're no longer about the fancy cars, the big house, the fat wallet, the Rolex, if that version of you doesn't walk in the room, if the one walks in the room, imagine how what you give in relation to energy and love, imagine how that can change somebody who might be a three and who wants you to think how amazing they are, or whatever it might be, and the car they drive and the house they have and the Rolex and the money, or maybe they don't have any of that. Maybe it's a fake front that they're putting up in relation to their three. We have to understand that everybody else we meet, the three that we're seeing, had a two that happened to them. And somewhere back in their space, in their life, in their coming up, two happened, which shaped the one. So the one came in, two happened, they became the three. The same thing for me. And here's the other thing too that I learned. As bad as I've had it, I had it bad. Rudy, who was with me, he had the same past, abusive childhood growing up. And so he's carried that to who he is now. Rudy, you guys, Rudy, he's a Marine sniper with recon. He is deployed into many, many, many hot areas, hot zones, Africa's, the Middle East, all places around the world, and done things that Marines do, especially as a sniper. That man is a one right now. Everything about him, when you meet him, when you talk to him, is the one. He is a ball of love. He is a good man. But he's done his own therapy. And last weekend, the therapy I went through, you guys, I'm doing this again. I'm not where I need to be. I mean, I still think there's some ego in me. And when it comes to social media platforms and walking into rooms or sitting in a bar, the three still comes up every once in a while. But I had my eyes open. I was able to see who I am and who I project myself to be when I meet people and when I talk. I want to be more of a one. I want to be more understanding, more good energy, more love, because that'll allow me to see through somebody's three and get to know their one. It's the ones where we connect, you guys. It's at that childlike level that we will connect with others in a way that our egos don't come into play. So the reason I bring that up is in relation to everything, personal and business, we have to understand everybody we're talking to, everybody we are dealing with, we're seeing their three. Find a way to get past their three and get to know the one. And I think if we do this, there's far more for us to learn about others, to benefit from, and to be better people. I mean, how many more days do we all have left on this big blue marble? We don't know. None of us are promised tomorrow. So why don't we make today a rockin'? Why don't we help people? And in the process, that energy we give out in a very positive and loving way will come back. Think about it, you guys. Hell, this is 2020 and we're in the middle of an election season. Have you seen all the freaking hate online with social media? Everybody's polarized because it's all these threes are coming together and they can't see the one in each other. All they see is the three, the hate, the ego, the titles. They see race, they see religion, they see sex, they see your sexual orientation, they see your politics. All of these things are threes. They're all threes. And it's crushing people. It crushed me. I mean, I judged so many people. I absolutely did. My entire life, I judged so many people. And I wish I would have listened to my kid years ago and gone through some plant therapy, because it really stripped me down from that ego and brought me to my one, which helped me understand everybody out there has a one. We've got to find that in others. We've got to be better to each other. And I know I'm repeating that, but we do. We have to be better to each other, no matter who it is you come in contact with, whether that's family, friends, strangers, business partners, people that you will eventually do business with, whatever it might be, whatever you are selling, whatever you are promoting, whoever you think you are, you got to get past the three. You got to get out of that ego, and we got to find your one. So I am not the one to go out and tell everybody, hey, you need plant therapy. But hey, maybe you do need plant therapy. I can tell you that plant therapy helped me. It helped me lose my ego. It helped me love myself, which is something I've gone through. Think about that. It helped me love myself, something that I've not been able to do my entire life, because I found the one. I found the child inside me. I realized what happened to me does not have to define me. And here's the biggest thing it did for me. It helped me forget my mother. It helped me forget my mom. I wish she were here today. My mom died 3 years ago. I wish my mom were here today so I could go find the one inside her, because I dealt with my mother's three her entire life. Up until the day she died, I hated her. I wish now I could go back and find her one and give my one to her and find a way to love her. I hate that my mom, this hit me in the last week. I hate that my mom left this earth thinking I loved her, when in fact I did not love her. I missed an opportunity to love my mom. But it taught me something else. I have a lot of other people out there I can be giving love to. My children, my brothers, friends, close friends. Imagine now losing your three, becoming a one. How many more people can you love? How many more people can you help affect change with? Give that love, find their one. Maybe you'll change them or help to change them the way I was changed, literally 10 days ago. So yes, I'm going to have another moment like this. I'm going to go sit with somebody that I trust, and I'm going to find more of me, find more love for myself, and give more love to others. And in the process, I'm going to continue to lose my ego. I invite you to find some way to do this. It may not be plant therapy. It may be maybe counseling, maybe something, but you can find it. So I invite that. I invite that into your life. Find your one, lose your ego, and watch how it changes you. I'm changed. I want to change more. I want to be an even better version of what I found in myself 10 days ago. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you on a future podcast.